After years of waiting and teases from Battlestate Games, we finally have the Scar and Escape from Tarkov, and in this video, I want to talk about if the Scar L, the 5.56 version, is going to be the new meta gun in Escape from Tarkov, or even if it's worth using at all. Now, I actually recently got to shoot a Scar in real life in some work I've been doing with Brownells, and today we dropped our video breaking down the Scar in real life and seeing if it measures up to how it's often portrayed in video games. So if you want to see that video or subscribe to the Brownells channel, all that stuff is going to be linked below. If you like this video, think about dropping a like or commenting down below. If you want to see more content like this, you can subscribe here or check me out on Twitch where I stream Escape from Tarkov all the time. That link is down below as well. With all that stuff out of the way though, let's go ahead and dive into the video. All right, so we're obviously talking about the Scar. Normally, I like to start these videos with like a TLDR on if I think something is worth it. And what's super interesting about this patch is I don't really know, with all of the different restrictions to the flea market, to the ammo accessibility and availability, the new recoil system, these numbers that we look at don't mean the exact same thing they used to because of those recoil changes. It's hard to tell how this stacks up directly against the guns I've spent thousands of hours using, like other M4s or HKs or something like that. But we're still going to go through it and get a good understanding of if it's worth buying and stuff like that. So obviously, we start with where you can get these guns. You can get them. The most reliable way to get them in raid is off of the rogues on Lighthouse. They spawn with them pretty frequently. In all of my experiences with them, I've only found the Scar L, which is the 5.56 version. I guess that's worth going over. The Scar H, which one we just got for Christmas, is the 7.62x51, so your M80 and stuff like that version of that. They can look pretty identical, especially this one compared to the long barrel 5.56 version. They can look identical. There's black and this tan FDE version of both guns. But one of them is 7.62x51 and one of them is 5.56. And we're talking about the 5.56 one today, the Scar L. So anyways, you can get these off of rogues pretty frequently. I'm not sure if they spawn with the Scar H's, but they definitely spawn with the Scar L's all the time. Sometimes they come just kind of like super stock like this. Sometimes they have suppressors. Sometimes they have the longer barrels. It's pretty cool to see a variety of them. You can get the black versions as well. You can find them just kind of in loose loot anywhere like an M4 or a gun would spawn. You can additionally purchase them from Peacekeeper level 2, which was earlier than I thought, for 901 USD for the long barrel version, the black for the Scar L. That translates to about 112,000 rubles for the gun itself. With the long barrel, the stats, 82 vertical recoil, 41 ergo, nothing crazy here, especially since 82 vertical recoil is going to be more than 82 was last wipe. Once you get up to Peacekeeper level 3, you can also purchase some of the other variants, which are just like the medium barrel and the short barrel. These are both these Scar L's as well. And like the medium barrel one is like $5 cheaper. The short barrel one is like $150 more expensive. Not exactly sure why on the pricing here, but 120,000 rubles to 150,000 rubles for the gun by itself. That is pretty expensive, especially if we're talking early to mid wipe. Now, as of right now, as of the time of this recording, you can purchase Scars on the flea market. The flea market has been changed a lot even since wipe day. A lot of guns, a lot of armor, a lot of ammo are no longer sellable or purchasable on the flea market. As of right now, you can get pretty high durability ones because they come from rogues, so they normally come higher durability, or the ones people just find for about 50 to 60,000 rubles. Now that we're talking about a much better value proposition here, because you can just throw some light mods on this and you're good to go. So this is a much better value proposition. I'm not sure if that's going to stay. You might not be able to buy them on the flea market much longer. Now we can talk about their performance and modularity a bit right now as well. So like we said, this is like almost stock. Once again, this is just how kind of like a rogue had it. But around 88 vertical recoil is stock. You're going to find it with attachments on pretty quickly. And the meta one, as far as I've got level 3 traders and I've examined a bunch of stuff on the flea market trying to see what the like meta one is going to be. And it's looking like something around this. If you put I forget what it's called, the RK1 or whatever, on there, you can get from 55 down to I think 52 or 53 vertical recoil. That is as low as I could get it. And the biggest reason for that is going to be because you can't change the butt stock, or at least I haven't been able to figure out a way to do that. That is where a lot of recoil reduction comes for M4s, for HKs, for mutants, for a lot of those guns, is being able to do that. You can put the longer barrel on for a little bit. You can put the Saker suppressor, which I believe is still the meta suppressor for recoil reduction. You can put the barrel, the handguard extender on for some extra recoil, swap the pistol grip out for some extra recoil, and that's kind of it. 22 ergo sucks, but a lot of that comes from the mag. You can obviously slap a mag in there, and now it's 37, but it's still not great. The mags are pretty cool. We got these new kind of like SCAR mags. You can use any 5.56 mag, any of the 30s or 60s, but these are pretty cool and they don't take a huge ergo hit. Be wary of that failure to feed chance as well on your magazines. So what we can do really quickly, especially because in this wipe, things are different. And those recoil numbers, once again, aren't necessarily exactly what they used to be, is we can kind of take these into the hideout really quickly and just actually try to show you the difference between these recoil numbers and stuff like that. Everything feels different than it used to. So we can slap this on full auto, go for this target right here. I'm going to start kind of at the thorax, and I'm not going to compensate for recoil at all. This is just dumping a 30 round mag through basically a stock SCAR L. So as you can see there, and we can kind of play that back and slow it down a little bit, a lot of vertical kick. It definitely levels out. That's kind of how Tarkov recoil is. It goes up, it levels out a little bit, but there was a lot of jump. Even once it leveled out, there was a lot of horizontal and vertical jump. So now we can switch over to the kind of like meta one, the best in slot SCAR. This is still a 30 round mag. I'm going to do the same thing, not compensating for recoil at all on my mouse. So definitely better. Definitely better. You can see, I mean, it's really easy to see that once it leveled out, same thing. It jumped vertically almost the same amount. Once it leveled out, we had much less vertical and horizontal kind of like jump and sway while we were doing that. But it's still not the laser beams that we saw in patches previous with those like 32 vertical recoil M4s, 28 vertical recoil M4s and stuff like that. So once again, this is where it's hard to tell how it stacks up, because until we had to take all these guns that we're used to, get the best in slot attachments and then test them again with these new recoil changes, it's going to be hard to see exactly how this stacks up. Now, that being said, to get it to a pretty close to borderline best in slot status isn't that expensive. The barrel you can purchase from Peacekeeper, the longest barrel, for about 300 USD. The suppressors are expensive, yes, but you can find them pretty frequently in raid on these things. Like both of these that I pulled out of raid had the Sacred suppressors on them, and there are other suppressors that are worth using as well, like the Thunder Beast, which has a pretty good barter as well. The handguard extender was only like 8,000 rubles, and the pistol grips and the foregrips are definitely not as big of a deal as people normally make them out to be. You don't have to have a growl, you don't have to have a Fortis shift or whatever RK1 is the best in slot. These things, the bulk of your recoil reduction come from your buttstock and your suppressor. The buttstock can't be changed out on the SCAR, so get a good suppressor, get the longer barrel if you want, and get anything that just adds some ergo here and anything that gets a few percentage points of recoil. The difference between 2% recoil reduction and 4% recoil reduction is going to be like 4 or 5 recoil on these guns. It's not going to be 10 or 15 recoil. So it's kind of sits in that middle where it's not quite an MDR where you don't really have to worry about modding it too much, but it's also not quite a M4 where you have to mod everything to get it good. I think a lot of this wipe is going to be learning the new recoil system, learning how to master that. But I think I can put my stamp on this is worth using and worth modding out slightly if you can get these on the flea market for that 50,000 ruble range. If we lose the ability to do this, and we're talking about 120,000 rubles to get this thing stock and then having to do that, I don't know if I can say that's worth it. Because traditionally there have been other options, but once again, even an MDR, just purchasing a 5.56 MDR from Peacekeeper is like 1,000 USD. So it's the Wild West out there, and that's not even to mention the ammunition, which is kind of like a whole nother thing. I am not going to go into a deep dive of the pen and the damage values of all the ammunition. I've done that in many other videos with 5.56 guns. Download Battle Buddy or look at No Food After Midnight's ammo charts or on the wiki. A lot of good resources out there, but it's worth noting once again that these higher level ammos you cannot purchase on the flea market. You can't even purchase 5.6A1 on the flea market, let alone 5.5A1 or M995. 5.5A1 is expensive from Peacekeeper and moved up to level 4 skier, and you can buy very little at a time. And then 5.6A1 you can purchase from Peacekeeper level 2, but it is sold out almost all of the time. Like I bet you anything is sold out right now. It sure is. 4 USD around is a good deal for this, but so the whole ammo situation is going to be crazy as well. So like we said, it's a whole new world, but I hope this helped break down the SCAR L, where you can get it, how much it costs, and what kind of mods are even available to put on this thing and what kind of stats you should be looking at if you get this down to kind of best in slot. So I hope this helped, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think this is going to be the new meta 5.56 gun, or do you think it's just going to be back to the M4s and you'll see these every once in a while? Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I hope to see you out there running some scars and Escape from Tarkov. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. If you liked the video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch. All my links will be down below. I'd love to have you stop by and say hey. And if you're looking for people to play Tarkov with, our Discord server is an awesome place to be. That link is down below as well. Thank you again for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.